Hi guys, Sam here, and today we are going to talk about the PTE mock test. Now the thing is, PTE has a 2 hours exam, 2 hours and 15 minutes approximately, because you have to include everything. You have to give an introduction, you have to check your hardware and software, and all of those things. Now the thing is, what we are going to do in this video today is we are going to focus on the PTE mock test, like the real exam. We are going to go through every single task, and I'll tell you some tips and tricks and techniques to do that task. I'll also solve that question for you, and I'll try my best to explain everything as clearly as possible. Now, the thing is, in your exam, when you go for the exam, you have to give an introduction. Okay, it's a personal introduction. Now, that introduction is not going to give you any marks. It's not going to take any marks away from you. You will get 1 minute for the introduction. It is up to you if you want to say something or if you just want to skip it. Okay. I would, however, recommend to say something. Okay. Now, the thing is, every single task of PTE is not the same. There are some important tasks, there are some non-important tasks. Okay. We are, however, not going to skip any of them. We are going to focus on it, see if it makes sense, and move on. Okay. What we are going to do is we are going to start with speaking, then writing, then reading and listening like you have in the real exam. We are going to be attempting the mock test on our website, which is mockmaster.ai. Now, mockmaster.ai is a free portal for you to practice, where you will get unlimited access to AI scoring. You will get one full mock test and you will get 4 sectional-wise tests for free. Okay. So if you want to start practicing for your PTE, go to mockmaster.ai, create a free account, and start practicing. Start getting your scores, start improving, and get your desired score. Okay. Now, let's go to the website. Now, guys, if you have a look here, so this is our website, mockmaster.ai. Now, as you can see, we have different things here. The one thing that we're going to focus on today is the mock test part. So here, let's click on take test and let's focus on any full mock test. Let's do full mock test number 7. Let's see. Now the thing is, see, the test might take 2 hours to complete. Once started, you cannot stop. Now the thing is, you can stop, you can save and exit, but yeah, try to treat it like a real exam. Okay. Now we'll start with the very first task, which is read aloud. Now, guys, keep in mind, read aloud is giving you 22 marks in reading and 22 marks in speaking. Similarly, repeat sentence gives you a lot of marks as well. Okay. Now, before we start with the exam, I'll point out the important tasks and the marks that they give you. Okay. So, for example, the very first task is actually, you know what? Let's go to tasks. Let's do marks in reading, actually speaking, writing, reading, and listening. So, if I see this here, the very first task is read aloud. Let's call it RA. It's giving you 22 marks in speaking and 22 in reading. Then we have got repeat sentence, 32 in speaking and 20 in listening. Describe image, 22 in speaking. Retell lecture, 11 in speaking and 10 in listening. Yes, please keep in mind, these are the approximate markings. Summarize written text gives you marks in writing and reading. Then we have got the write essay, which gives you approximately 11 in writing. Then we have fill in the blanks reading writing, one of the most important tasks, gives you marks in reading as well as writing. Then we have got fill in the blanks reading, which gives you 15. Now, the thing is reorder paragraph. Now, reorder paragraph is one of the most difficult tasks, but the thing is it does not give you much marks, 6 out of 90. Then we have got summarize spoken text, which gives you marks in writing and listening. Again, guys, this is the approximate marking. Fill in the blanks listening gives you approximately 9 in writing and 8 in listening. Highlight incorrect words gives you approximately 9 in reading and 8 in listening. And then write from dictation, one of the most important tasks, it gives you 27 in writing and 20 in listening. So these are your main tasks: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. And out of these 13 tasks, read aloud is the one you need to practice more. Repeat sentence you need to practice more. Essay, fill in the blanks reading writing. SST, fill in the blanks listening, and write from dictation. These are the tasks that are a bit difficult and the tasks that you need to practice a little bit more. Okay. Now that you have this here, if you want, you can take a screenshot right now after pausing the video or whatever. But yeah, we are going to erase this now and let's start with our mock test. Okay. So let's start with the first task, which is read aloud. Now, guys, again, in our speaking, there are three things that we need to keep in mind. We have our fluency, pronunciation, and content. Fluency is basically how naturally you speak. Pronunciation is how clearly you speak, and content is basically whatever you say. Now, the thing is, in speaking, if you want to skip any word, you can, as long as you do not let your fluency get disturbed by it. Okay. So, for example, let's start with the read alouds. You will get 35 seconds for preparation. In our portal, we give you 25 seconds to prepare you in a better manner. Now, in those 35 seconds, you will have to read the whole paragraph, see what words you want to skip. Okay. So, for example, there are some big words, for example, perpetrated, faltered. These are the kinds of words that I would like to skip if I'm not sure of them. Okay. Now, see what I do. While the Republican field is packed with male candidates, so far some of the sharpest Clinton critics have come from women. Democrats successfully campaigned on an alleged GOP something war on women in 2012, but faltered in 2014 when they tried the same tactic. With Hillary Clinton as the likely Democratic nominee, the fight for women voters will be a central part of the 2016 campaign. Now, as soon as you're done speaking, you click next, you move to the next question. Now, instead of perpetrated, I just said something. You can replace that word with some other word so that your fluency does not suffer. Or you can just eliminate that word and use something else in its place. Up to you. Okay. But yeah, that is what you do. You have to take proper pauses at the punctuation marks, comma, full stop. And if guys, if you saw here, I'm not rushing. I'm not trying to speak very fast. I'm just trying to speak in a very soft tone, in a very calming tone, and in a very natural tone. Okay. Fluency is not speed, everyone. As far as politics go, the responses are just as varied. Mitigation is common and calls for a reduction of emissions and less reliance on fossil fuels. Coal burning power plants are now replaced with hydraulic power plants, and electrical cars are replacing some gasoline efficient cars. Many people, however, feel that this is not enough. Now, see, guys, whenever the commas are very close to each other, then you don't take a pause. Okay. For example, here, however, I did not take a pause. Okay. So that's that. Now, let's see. Okay. And guys, see, if it is a big sentence and you want to take a small pause, you can take a small pause at the small words. For example, here, what can I do? What can I do is the border itself between Mexico and United States is fraught with a mix of urban and desert terrain. So I'm taking a pause at is here. Okay, let's see. The border itself between Mexico and United States is fraught with a mix of urban and desert terrain and spans over 1900 miles. Both the uninhabited areas of the border and urban areas are where the most drug trafficking and illegal crossings take place. Crime is prevalent in urban cities like El Paso, Texas, and San Diego, California. You can call it San Diego, San Diego. That's up to you. Okay. See, guys, saying one or two words or even three or four words wrong is not going to affect your score, or skipping three or four words is not going to affect your score much. But if you are skipping the words, and you're also taking unnatural pauses, you're also hesitating, that would affect your score. See, when I'm speaking in a very nice tone, in a very soft tone, in a very confident tone. Okay. Also, guys, keep in mind the quotient number here. We need to keep in mind after question number 6 or 7, it can be a repeat sentence. Free trade is an economic policy under which the government does not interfere with trade. No tariffs are applied to imports or exports, and people are allowed to trade goods and services as they please. Supply and demand dictates the prices for which goods and services sell and are the only factors that determine how resources are allocated in society. Now see, the problem with that was I was speaking the whole sentence without any extra pauses. And towards the end, suddenly my tone got messed up. my voice got a bit more shriveled. Okay. So please make sure you take proper pauses so that your voice, your pitch does not change. All right. So yeah, unlike the United Kingdom, which has taken a relatively restrictive approach, now what I'll do is I'll try to go a little slower here. See what happens. Again, guys, natural tone. Unlike the United Kingdom, which has taken a relatively restrictive approach to the possession of arms, the United States has taken a more lenient approach. In the United States, three models have evolved regarding the interpretation of the meaning of the right to bear and keep arms as delineated in the Second Amendment. Delineated, I said delineated. Okay. Even if I say one word wrong, that will not affect my score. Simple as that. The main thing is, even if you fumble, do not stop. Okay, just keep on speaking. So this is question number 6. So the next question after this can very well be a repeat sentence. So you need to be mentally prepared. Okay, let's see here. Trade unions originated in Europe during the Industrial Revolution. Industrial Revolution. Okay? So I want you to speak clearly. Trade unions originated in Europe during the Industrial Revolution. Because of the machinery that had become commonplace, skilled labor became less in demand, so employers had nearly all of the bargaining power. Employers mistreated the workers and paid them too little for the work they did. Trade unions were organized that would help in the improvement of working conditions. As soon as you're done speaking, you click next, you move to the next question. Okay. Now, many students, they think the next will be a read aloud, but it can very well be a repeat sentence. Okay, see? Now let's hear.
The artist used an apartment as his studio.
The artist used an apartment as a studio. Now you can either match the tone of the speaker or you can use your own tone. Okay. The thing is, we need to remember minimum 7 words.
Children, for example, are often exposed to negative role models and peer pressure.
Okay. Children are often exposed to negative role models and peer pressure. Children nowadays are often exposed to negative peer pressure and role models. Now, even if I do that, we'll see how much score I get in speaking as well as in the content. You need to say a minimum of 7 words.
People often conform during their leisure time as well as in their work hours.
People often conform during their leisure time as well as their work hours. People often conform during their leisure time as well as their peak hours. And guys, please make sure you need to wait for the blue bar to start before you start speaking. Okay? You need to wait for the bar.
Conformity involves acting or thinking like other group members.
Let's see. Something and someone are thinking like other group members. So even if I do that, and someone are thinking like other group members. 7 words.
An understanding of persuasive techniques should help you recognize their use.
Now see what I do here. An understanding of techniques should help you recognize their use. An understanding of something techniques should help you recognize their use. Now I did not say persuasive. The thing is, if I'm skipping one word, it doesn't matter, as long as the rest is great.
Nowadays, persuasion is an important area of research within social psychology.
Nowadays, persuasion is an important area of research, social psychology. Nowadays, persuasion is an important topic of research in social psychology. Now, again, the main thing is your confidence, guys. Okay. 7 to 8 words with full confidence should be great for 7 each.
He needs to talk to you about your industrial architecture class.
He needs to talk to you about your industrial architectural class. Okay. He needs to talk to you about your industrial architecture class. Again, guys, 7 to 8 words with full confidence should be okay for 5, 6, or even 7. Okay.
Often, the point of the advertisements is to raise awareness rather than give information.
Often, the point of advertisement is to raise awareness. Often, the point of advertisement is to raise awareness rather than give information. Here, if I just say the point of advertisement is to raise awareness than give information, should be more than okay.
Generally, consumers trust friends more than commercial information such as advertisements.
Generally, consumers trust friends than advertisements. Generally, consumers trust friends more than other things such as advertisements. Okay. Now, the thing is, if you fumble, you mess up. That's somewhat what happened here. But the thing is, speak with confidence.
Advertisements can occur in unusual places, even in the sea or in the sky.
Advertisements can occur in unusual places, even in sea or sky. Advertisements can occur in unusual places, even in the sea or in the sky. Okay. And yeah, guys, just one thing. Now comes describe image. Gives you 22 marks in speaking. Okay. Now the thing with describe images, as long as you point out whatever is on the screen and you're speaking in a natural tone, you will get marks. As many of you may already know, there is human checking in this one now. So we need to speak naturally with some natural pauses. You can't speak fast here now. The given image gives me information about lunar and fish and how they both relate. It can be clearly seen that there are surface where there are different phases of the moon and there's a bottom area. The image is divided into 8 parts, 2 top and bottom, and then there are 4 columns as well. In the image, I can see how different phases of the moon affect the fish and their population. I can see when there is a full moon, then the fish are scattered. Overall, the image has other colors like orange, blue, and white. The image is very beautiful. That's it. Now the thing is, you don't have to speak for the whole 40 seconds. You can just speak for 25 to 30 seconds and it should be more than okay. Basically, 4 or 5 sentences should be more than okay. And guys, if I'm taking, let's say filler pauses, um, uh, those still sound natural. Okay, I don't take sudden pauses. Now, what do we do here? We just have these words, and then we have animals, we have birds, we have bats. Okay. Now, what we can do is we can point out whatever this is. We can point out the colors, and or we can point out the animals as well. Okay. We can say that this is a list. They are standing on top of each other. Whatever you want. Okay. Let's see. The given image is a normal picture, which tells me about different skeleton structures. It can be seen that the image has different colors and there are different words such as upper arm bone and lower arm bone. The image not only shows wrist bones and fingers, but also shows that there are different animals and birds here. I can see on top there's a man, then there's a dinosaur, a bird, and a bat. It can also be clearly seen that there is different colors such as purple, green, orange, and blue. Overall, the image is very informative. See? Now, even if you want some time to think, you can use the filler sounds. Again, the thing is, whatever sounds you use, you have to be very confident when you speak. That's the main thing. Okay. So yeah, that's that, guys. Now let's wait for the next image. And guys, even if you're practicing without a mic, it doesn't matter much. Okay. But yeah, just make sure whenever you do a question, you always get it checked from a tutor. Now here you can either describe this process, okay, or what you can do is you can just point out whatever is on the screen and it should be okay. So let's wait for the beep. The given image in front of me is a diagram which tells me about a process. It can be clearly seen that there are small things that are going through the processes. The first process is absorption and then it's entry and replication. After replication, the next process is assembly where they get together. And then there is release where all of them are released into the system. It can also be clearly seen that there are 4 blocks here. There are 4 steps of the process. Overall, the image is very informative about a process that is releasing something. So yeah, basically guys, the thing is point out whatever is on the screen. And once you're done, you're good to go. Okay. The next task here is retell lecture. So let's focus on picking the keywords. Okay. Keywords or phrases, and then we'll put those keywords or phrases in the lecture here. Okay. In our template. Okay, let's see.
From reading philosophy, I came up with 3 principles as the guiding principles for a just city, of the principles of equity, democracy and diversity. Of these were derived from the works of a number of philosophers, most preeminently I supposed on Ross. My choice of word equity rather than equality is in fact based on Ross's argument that a policy ought to distribute benefits to people where the worst off become better off. So the worst off don't have to become equal to everybody else, but no policy should in fact make those who are most disadvantaged more disadvantaged. And it means that we have to talk about the policy at the time it's being enacted. To say, while we have to make our city more competitive because sometime and by, the benefits will trickle down to those people who were worst off doesn't justify making them worst off as that time. We have a lot of examples on the world of people whose homes were destroyed in the name of the greater good and say eventually they will benefit. But equity means that you do not in fact take advantage of those people who are weakest.
Okay. Guys, after the recording is done, you will get 8 or 9 seconds before your mic turns on. Okay. The speaker was talking about philosophy and the guiding principles of philosophy. From the lecture, I can hear that equity and diversity are important. The speaker also mentioned that the number of philosophers that there are, they have given a lot of benefits to people and they distribute benefits to people. It can also be heard that the benefits that you give to people, they ultimately trickle down to the worst of people. The speaker also mentions that equity means that you don't take advantage of the weakest. Overall, the lecture was very informative about philosophy and the guiding principles. So guys, that is what I do. We usually pick nouns and phrases and verbs. Okay. As long as you say phrases, you will be able to cover a good amount of content, one thing. And second thing, you would be able to maintain a good flow. Okay, so that would give you marks in speaking. Again, don't go fast, take proper pauses. Answer short questions.
What's the color of the medal that a champion gets?
So what's the color of the medal that a champion gets? Gold. Okay. In speaking, as soon as you're done speaking, you click next and you jump to the next question. If you don't know the answer, just say Adam.
Would it be better to go jogging at noon or in the early morning if you want to avoid the hottest part of the day?
Early morning. Okay. But yeah, if you don't know, just say I don't know. Early morning. Again, guys, if you're not sure, just say I don't know, or you can repeat the question.
Which major branch of science deals with classification of living things?
So let's say if we don't know, which we don't. I don't know. Just say that. Okay. Which living branch of science are living things? It would be biology, but yeah, just say I don't know.
Ice sports are likely to feature in which Olympics, summer or winter?
So ice sports, I think it should be Winter Olympics. Winter. Now you can say winter or you can say Winter Olympics. That is up to you. All right.
If someone lives in an urban area, where do they live?
Someone okay. Urban area. Wasn't sure about the question, so you can also repeat the word from the question. Now comes SWT. Now, summarized written text is one of the easiest tasks. You just have to pick good sentences that are related to your topic and just paste, basically copy and paste them in your answer. And you use a proper template. Okay. So here, what we are going to do is first have a quick look through the paragraph and see what words are being repeated. So if I see here, I can see humans is being repeated again and again. I can see evolved here. I can see natural selection, survival, all of them are somewhat in the same category, evolution. So that means whatever sentences I pick, it should be related to humans, evolution, survival, or something related to natural selection. So we'll pick the first sentence. And guys, don't pick one word, type one word. Pick one, type one, pick one, type one. That won't work. Okay. You pick one, you pick like 3, 4 words or 5, 6 words together, type them together. That way it would increase your speed. So all non-human animals are constrained by the tools that nature. All non-human animals are constrained by the tools that nature, okay, has bequeathed them through, has bequeathed them through natural selection. You know what? Let's just increase our typing speed now, and we can figure out the mistakes later. Then we put a semicolon and a comma, semicolon, moreover, and then a comma. Now we'll pick one sentence from the middle. Now see, I can pick this sentence because this has evolution, or I can pick this one because they are basically comparing animals with humans. Okay, so I'll pick that one because it also has evolution as well. So I can say no animal is capable of asking questions or generating problems that are irrelevant to its immediate circumstances or its evolutionary design needs. Then comma, and lastly. See guys, the and here is the connector. Lastly here is just us telling the system that yes, this is now my last sentence. Okay. And the last one I can pick what marks out humans is our capacity to go beyond our naturally defined goals. That's it, till there. Because see, need to find food, shelter, mate, establish human created goals. These are not my good keywords. Okay. So I can say, and lastly, what marks out humans is our capacity to go beyond our naturally defined goals. That's it. Just make sure whatever sentences you write, they should be related to the topic, they should be complete, and they should be grammatically correct. Second thing, we usually recommend students to write 40 to 70 words. But the thing is, if you want, you can go up to 75, guys. The main thing in this task is you only need to write one sentence, which basically means we are only going to use one full stop, which is here only. Okay. Now, what many students do is, let's say if there is a number here, or let's say if there is a sentence that says the students can't score more than 50.2%. So if I'm doing this sentence, what I'll write is the students cannot, I'll have to expand it, score more than. Now I cannot write 50.2. So I'll just write 50%. That's it. Okay. So these are some of the basic things that you need to remember in your SWT. And guys, see the time that you get here, the 10 minutes that you get here, okay, are just for this task alone. So if you are done in less than 10 minutes, please don't jump to the next task. You can just sit back, relax, take a break, 2-3 minutes. And then before your timer is up, you can just click on next and jump to the next question. Okay. Now comes the essay. Guys, there are lots of templates in the market. You can use any of them. The main thing is you need to write something related to the topic, and you need to make sure whatever you write is making sense. Okay. So what we can do here is, because university degrees can get people jobs with high salaries, university students should pay full cost for their education. Now my topic here, it has long been a subject of discussion that now you can either write down the whole thing. What I'll do is that university students should pay full cost for their education. Okay. Now the question here is grammatically wrong. So should pay the full cost of their education. Now that is a little better. That makes sense. Okay. So yeah, that is what we are going to do here today. So let's focus on it. Then you can say, now this is a line from our template. In my opinion, the given notion has several elements that deserve attention, comma, and I will explain why using pertinent arguments. Guys, 200 to 300 words. and I here will be capitalized. Okay, anyway, you write I should be capitalized. Now, after your first introduction, you can either press enter once or you can press it twice. Doesn't matter either way. Okay, I like to do it twice, so it's a little bit more cleaner for me. Now, I can say many supporters of the topic believe that. Now, before we start with this part here, what we are going to do is we are going to make 2 or 3 bullet points for my first body, which is going to support the topic. We are going to make 2 or 3 bullet points for my body 2, which is going to oppose the topic. So my body 1 will be, yes, they should pay the full cost. Okay. Number 1 would be responsibility. Okay. Number 2 will be real life skills, or number 3 can be independent. Now, second here can be students can't pay the full thing if they are not financially backed by their family. So I can say not independent. And second thing I can say not earning. Okay. So here, many supporters of the topic believe that. Now, my first point is responsibility. Believe that students, now we'll keep it simple. Okay. Students are responsible for their own actions and can handle paying their fee. Okay, can handle paying their fee or can handle paying for their education. So what we are going to do is we are going to write a simple sentence, put a connector with it, and write a simple sentence, like basically expand it a little more. Then I can say, for example, a survey conducted in America, says that, survey conducted in America says that. Now, my second point here is real life skills. Says that, okay, students would learn real life skills if they start paying for their own needs, because it will make them learn the value of money. Simple. Okay. Now comes another part. It says university degrees can get people jobs with higher salaries. Now what we are going to do is we are going to write something with it. Okay, about it. So here I can say, to conclude, it can be said that now university degrees can get people jobs with higher salaries. So I can say it can be said that university students, okay, can get high-paying jobs after graduation. University students can get high-paying jobs after graduation and can pay for the loans that they might have or that they might take during their studies or during their study. Okay, so that is my body 1. Again, guys, keep the sentences simple. Now I'm not using our template, I'm just putting some random sentences here. Okay, now the opponent part, the opposite part. So I can say many opponents of the topic argue that. Now, whatever is my topic sentence, university students should pay. I'll take it, I'll put it in a negative way. For example, I'll just copy this, university students. Then I'll put this here and I'll paste this here. University students should not pay the full cost for their education because they do not work and are not able to pay such high prices. Simple. Because they do not work and are not able to pay such high prices. Okay. So because they're not earning, they're not independent. Then I can say, to further elaborate this point, many Australians believe that students are not independent and cannot um, cannot make their own decisions. Or you can say students are not independent and cannot make their own decisions. You know what? Let's relate it a little bit more to the topic. University degrees can get people jobs with higher salaries. Many Australians believe that. Okay, Australians believe that many students do not get a high-paying job even after graduating from a good university because they do not have real life experience or because the job market fluctuates a lot. Now that is a little tricky word, but yeah, that is what you can do. And then now is my conclusion. Okay, from what has been pointed out above, it can be clearly seen that the positives outweigh the negatives of the given topic. Okay. Lastly, it would be wise to say that now you can either copy and paste the topic sentence in your conclusion, but what I do is I like to paraphrase it a little bit. Okay. It would be wise to say that university students are enough capable, or just keep it simple, are capable of paying for their education. Or university students are responsible and can pay for their own education. Simple. As long as it is more than 200 words, should be more than okay. It's guys, it's not like if you write more, you get more marks. Okay. And I'm not revising my answers, but you have to revise your answers. Now, one part of the exam is completed. Let's shift to the reading part. Guys, see, once your essay is done, okay, what I want you to do is I want you to take a break. I want you to not click next as soon as you are done. Okay, take a break, revise your answer, or just sit back and relax. Because after this point, you would have reading and listening where you cannot get even 1 second of break. Okay, so please keep that thing in mind. Let's start with the reading part. Now I will explain what we do. Please make sure to finish reading in less than 29-30 minutes because that is the maximum time you will get. And on an average, you will be getting 14 to 18 questions. Actually, 13 to 18 questions. Okay, so let's start with reading. Now, the thing is, what many students do is they focus on the whole paragraph or they read the whole sentence. Now, guys, you can read the whole paragraph, you can read the whole sentence. The main thing is whatever you read, you have to make sure that it is very, very, very understandable. You understand it and you know what the speaker is talking about. For example, what I do is I don't read the whole thing. I just read some words around the blank and try to figure out my answer. If I can't understand by reading a little bit, then I expand my reading area. So here, foldable white canes, the white sticks, help the dash impaired navigate their surrounding. So there are foldable white sticks that are helping someone who is impaired and to basically navigate their surroundings, to go around. So it would be visually impaired. I'll not even focus on the other words. If visually is making sense for me, I'll just choose that. Okay. Now, every single question you should divide into two parts: the answer choosing part and the revision part. Okay. Then here, what I'll do is that can even identify. Now, if you don't know acquaintances, don't focus on it. That can even identify something as they dash. Now it says they. That means most likely it is people. So that can identify people as they dash. So it can identify people as they approach. Okay. Then for the next one, the cane alerts the user's dash via Bluetooth. Now, out of these four things, what has Bluetooth? Smartphones, hopefully. The dash are building a prototype. Now, who will build something? Students can build something. So that is how I choose my answers. You don't have to read the whole paragraph. Actually, I missed one blank I just saw. Anyhow, let's see here. Its principles dominated English dash for more than a century. Now what I'll focus on is there are some principles that are dominating English dash. Now what can they dominate? Now if I'm not sure of the words hieroglyph, hierarchy, taxonomy, or lexicography, what you do here is if you're not sure of any of the words, if you don't know the meanings, choose any random and move on. Save your time. There's no point of spending too much time here. Okay. The answer is lexicography, because in my opinion, it's not hieroglyph. Hieroglyph are basically symbols. Hierarchy doesn't make sense. English hierarchy doesn't make sense. English taxonomy doesn't make sense. So it is lexicography. That is how you can try to understand. Here, see, if I start from here, earlier dictionaries not in dash, I can't understand. This 2-volume work surpassed, that is my main point. Surpassed earlier dictionaries means now there is a new dictionary that has crossed earlier dictionaries, not in dash, but in the precision. Means now they are more precise, but they are not dash. So they are not more bulk, means they do not have much words, but they have they do not have more words, but they have more definitions. Okay. Then for the next one, I'll read, which served in support and illustration, and which dash the different shades of meaning of a particular word. Now my focus is which dash the different shades of meaning. So let's call it which dash the different shades of a particular word. Now, can be simplified. It will not be signified because I don't think they can signify different shades. I'm not sure of exemplified. I don't think it should be classified, which classified the difference can be classified. Now the thing is, guys, I'm confused between classified, exemplified, and simplified. What we are going to do here is we are going to skip this for now. We are going to finish all of our answer and then we come back to it. Okay. So here, let's say based on the best conversation of dash London. Now, what kind of London? Now, for a fact, I know contemporary basically means based on the best conversation of contemporary London. So of old London. Okay. Then for the next one here, that incorporated, that included with skill and intellectual power, the dash ideals and resources. And intellectual power, the dash ideals. Now, it says skill and intellectual power. That means the sentence is positive. So it cannot be condescending or demeaning. Okay, so no condescending or demeaning. So I can't choose between prevailing and dignifying. Now the thing is, if you do not know the meaning of prevailing or dignifying, again 50-50 chance, choose one, move on. But if you do know the meaning, you know it's prevailing. Okay. Power the prevailing ideals, power the ideals that are still surviving. Now for this one, let's read a little bit more. And the citation of quotations from the entire range of English literature, they were talking about English literature, entire range of English literature, which dash the different shades. Now we're talking about range and we're talking about different shades. Now range will not simplify the different shades. Range will not classify. So I'll choose exemplify. I can be wrong, but that is what I am thinking. That is how I think. Okay. Then for the next one, here, ice disrupted ocean currents in the North Atlantic and dash a drop in temperature. So ice dash a drop in temperature. Now, ice cannot feature a drop, ice cannot deny a drop, ice can reflect, or ice can cause. Okay. So here it says at the end of the last ice age, the melting ice disrupted the ocean currents in the North Atlantic and caused a drop in the temperature. Now, guys, whenever there is a connector at the start of a sentence or a connector anywhere in the sentence, I skip it straight away because for this one, I will have to read this sentence as well as the previous sentence to figure out the connection. Okay. The rest of the planet was warming dash. Warming in doesn't make sense. Warming back, warming off, warming up. Here, the same thing happened 8,000 years ago. Now, many students would choose before, but before and ago basically mean the same thing. So the same thing happened around 8,000 years ago, approximately 8,000 years ago. And here, and it dash happen again today. So the same thing happened 8,000 years ago, and it dash happen again today. And it can happen, it could happen, could have happened is not correct, should is not correct. Should means it should happen. So the same thing happened 8,000 years ago when the cooling lasted about 100 years, and it could happen today. Now, the thing I choose could is because in the next sentence it says could have a different. So that is how you can manage or you can figure out the tone, one thing. Second thing, and it could happen again today would mean there is a possibility. Okay. Could is also a bit more formal tone. Now let's read this one. Dash the rest of the planet was warming up. The North Atlantic region remained in a cold period. So here it is warming up, but here it is cold. So it is contrasting. But even though the planet was warming up, comma, the North Atlantic region remained in a cold period. Now, guys, even though we usually use for basically we have a sentence, then we put a comma, and then the tone of the sentence would change. If it's positive, after the comma, it's negative. If it's negative, after the comma, it is positive. Okay. Now let's pick up the speed a little bit. And the Dash Heritage Dictionary. So I'm pretty sure it is American because we're talking about a dictionary. But many of them don't end up in dash. Pretty sure it's dictionaries because we are talking about dictionaries. But the fame of politicians can dash exceed that of actors. The fame of politicians can exceed actors. So I can say the fame of politicians. Now it is not preferably because no one is preferring. This word I'll not even focus on. Venturesomely doesn't make sense. Intelligibly, there's nothing talking about that. So it would be eventually, means in the future, eventually, in the future, most likely it would cross. And then here, a Google tool is dash. So we are talking about a tool, guys. A Google tool is dash on this data. Now, a tool cannot be non-breakable, cannot be non-occupational, can be trainable or available. But a tool, if we're talking about a tool, I would say is available on this based on this data. Users can track the usage and dash of a word. Usage and frequency of a word, how many times a word has been used. Simple. Then for the next one. Okay, what I'll do is let's point out some of the things here. But it is equally concerned with dash people helping them to learn. For the next one, I'll read is provided by the performance agreement. Dash is the outcome. So we're talking about performance agreement, and dash is the outcome of performance planning. And here it says, and for dash improvement, and development activities. So this is what I'll focus on only. It is equally concerned with dash people, helping them to learn and providing them. So basically it is helping them and providing them something. So it is not alerting, it is not recruiting, it is not evaluating, developing people. Here is provided by the performance agreement. See, the framework is provided by the performance agreement. Dash is the outcome of performance learning. Now, guys, this is a trick I'll tell you. Any sentence or any blank that is after a comma and which is one of the options. Most of the times it is which. 99% of the times it is which. Okay. And the next one, and for dash improvement and development activities. Now I cannot conclude my improvement. I cannot herald my improvement. I don't think I can reassure improvement. I can guide. And for guiding improvement, and yeah, because we are talking about activities, right? So I can choose heralding or guiding if I'm not sure, 50-50. Choose one, save your time. Okay. So I'll just choose guiding. Now let's go to the next one. Guys, multiple choice questions. I'm not going to spend too much time today. I'm just going to choose one randomly and move on. But in the exam, please make sure you spend at least 30 seconds. Okay. So for example, I'll just show you this as well. What is significant about the dark soil that the writer is referring to? So first we focus on dark soil. Let's focus where is dark soil. See, it says dark soil here. Now let's focus on reading something with dark soil. You might expect this precious fertile resource to be found in the deep jungle, far from human settlements or farmers who hasn't been hunting, but I go looking for dark earth around the edges of villages and ancient towns. That means it is near ancient towns. It is being found where humans have lived, or yeah, it is being found near where humans have lived. So I'll go here. Choose one, move on, save your time. Now comes reorder paragraph. Now reorder paragraph is important, not that much because it is giving you 6 marks. So we'll try not to spend more than 2 minutes on this. Okay. Now let's find our independent sentence. How these two leapfrogged, we do not know what are these two things. Photography from its appearance can be. Dependence, blah, blah, blah. And here it says painting and photography can be. And then it says yet it threw the older medium into crisis. So yet it threw means even after that it threw. So it says the older medium. I know from this sentence that photography is the new medium and painting is the older medium. So if I put it here, photography from its appearance in 1839 looked to painting for fundamental models. So basically it looked up to painting. It is inspired by painting. But then I can say, yet it threw the older medium into crisis. Okay. So I think that would make sense. It threw the older medium into crisis, removing at a stroke, painting's unique capacity. Okay. So that is what you can do. Then now the thing is, I have to find whether where number one will come or where number three will come. Okay. So if I see this here, dependence, rivalry, envy, emulation, painting and photography, like members of a dysfunctional yet family, just cannot cast off lineages. So I believe this can be my independent sentence. Okay. But the thing is, I have to figure out where number one will go. See, it says how these two media leapfrogged. So if it says these two media, so these two media can be painting and photography, right? Okay. So what I can do is I can have a quick look here and make quick pairs, guys. Even if I do not get the whole order correct, I should at least get the pairs correct. Okay. Now, dependence, rivalry, envy, and emulation, painting and photography. Here they are pointing out painting and photography both. So I think they are giving their introduction. So if I put this here, then they talk about photography from its appearance, look to painting for inspiration, let's say, yet it threw the older medium into crisis. Now guys, see, the thing is, even if my 3, let's say, is not correct, I still have one pair correct, which is 2 and 4. Okay. And number 1 basically is my conclusion. Okay. Now for the next one, earlier this year can be. The elephants reacted so strongly. So something happened. That's why the elephants reacted. Only things didn't go exactly as planned. So the elephant noticed the drones. Let's say they took along 3 drones, which they planned to use to count the elephants. Only things didn't go exactly as planned. The elephants noticed the drones, which hovered anywhere. The elephants reacted so strongly. Okay. Now the thing is, it says because drones, it turns out, sound a lot like bees, and elephants do not like bees at all. Now what I can do is, if I'm not sure, my number 2 can come before number 3. My number 3 can come before number 2 because both of them make somewhat sense. But the thing here is, I have to check which of these two sentences is going with my number 4, basically. Okay. So if I see this here, earlier this year, researchers from Duke University, blah, blah, blah. I know for a fact that my number 1 and number 4 is a pair. Okay. Now the elephants will notice the drones, and then the elephants reacted so strongly. So what is their reaction? So this is their reaction. Okay. That means my order is 1, 4, 3, 2. Okay. Now coming to the fill in the blanks reading part. Guys, the same things we apply here. People are naturally concerned about the polluting dash of energy sources. About the polluting, see, it can be polluting damages, but I don't think I can pollute damages, right? So it would be polluting effects. Wind farms are the dash. Wind farms are the answer. Answer for what? Answer for the polluting effects of energy sources. Then, these huge dash are becoming more commonplace. I can say these huge machines because we're talking about wind farms. Then, in certain dash of the world, in certain regions of the world, yet for some people, they are an unwelcome dash of the landscape. Now, it can either be an unwelcome feature of the landscape, or it can be an unwelcome site of the landscape. Now, it is up to you if to think whether the landscape would have a feature or the landscape would have a site. Okay. Now the thing is, you can put both of them here. So if I put feature here, now what do we understand from feature? That they are one part of the landscape. Site basically means you can see it. So unwelcome site or unwelcome feature. I'll go with feature because it is on the landscape and it is a part of the landscape. Okay. So yeah, the next one. Professional astronomers dash their amateur counterparts. So some big words, I'll skip it for now. What dash to them, let's focus here. What dash to them is the contribution. So what make to them will not be. What matters to them is the contribution their images can dash to research. Is the contribution their images can make to research. And to the dash, what matters to them is the contribution their images can make to research, and to the dash of data scientists, and to the collection of data scientists in their field dash for research purposes. I can say in their field use. So they can use it in the field. Okay, the data scientists can use it in their collection in the field use. Okay. Now there are 4 options and I have 1 blank. Professional astronomers put their American counterparts have no particular interest, doesn't make sense. Concerns their counterparts, doesn't make sense. So it will be unlike their counterparts, have no particular interest. Amateur counterparts basically means, so counterparts basically mean the people who have somewhat of the same job or somewhat of the same social status as you. Those are called counterparts. So let's move on, finish this quickly because we're running out of time. So here, now see guys, despite dash economic times, if you want, you can just read this much. Despite dash economic times, let's read a little bit more. The practice of giving graduation gifts seems to be alive and well, despite, I can say, hard economic times. Then they are being more dash in the gifts they bestow. Now I can say they are being more generous or they are being more creative. Let's read a little bit more to find if the sentence is positive or negative. While families may not have as much to spend, they are being more creative. So they do not have much to spend. That is why they are being more creative. Then and large lump dash, large lump sums. Lump sums is a collocation, everyone. Lump sums is a collocation. Now, guys, here I want you to focus on something. The majority of early pictures, we are talking about pictures in the galleries dash, are by many unknown artists. Now, here, what I want you to focus on is what they are saying is the pictures in the galleries dash are by artists. Let's call it that. The pictures in the galleries dash are by artists. Now, that means in galleries dash, there are some pictures. Now, in galleries work, there can't be pictures. Galleries connection, galleries prospect, galleries combination, galleries potential, galleries information. In galleries care, there are pictures. Okay. So the majority of early pictures in the gallery scale are by unknown artists. The pictures in the gallery scale are by artists. Okay. That is what they mean. So you need to point out what is your main subject, what word is affecting your blank. Okay. Then for the next one, a new project has the dash to unlock evidence. A new project has the potential to unlock evidence because we're talking about a project. The project will only have potential. They will use a dash of cutting edge techniques. Guys, we're talking about techniques. Okay, so they will use a combination of techniques in order to reveal new dash. Now, what can we reveal? Now, many students would say connection, but you can reveal connection between two things. I cannot reveal connection about things. Okay, but I can reveal information about things. And the last one is again a multiple choice question. Here it says, what does the graphic design degree offer students? Let's look for where are they talking about graphic design degrees. Here it says, with a nurturing environment for learning, developing aesthetic appreciation and design skills, with an emphasis on media and marketing. Students have the chance to develop their personal style while broadening their technical repertoire. Experience working on new magazines. I don't think I have read it here. I don't think using state-of-the-art cameras. Let's look for where they are talking about cameras. Okay, here, state-of-the-art cameras. Let's look for where they're talking about a creative field. Okay, or let's talk about where they are talking about funds to help with their study. Okay. And let's talk about magazines. Where are they talking about magazines? The academic staff are former working artists. So here I can say teachers who have practical experience in a creative field. I'm done. That's it. Okay. Guys, now comes the listening part. Now the listening part again, there are 4 important tasks. Summarize spoken text, fill in the blanks listening, highlight incorrect words, and write from dictation. Okay. So we'll start with summarize spoken text. We'll figure out the MCQs as well. And then we'll focus on our main task, which is write from dictation. Okay. Now the thing with summarize spoken text is whatever sentences you hear, we are going to pick proper keywords from there. Basically, it depends on your template if you want to pick sentences, phrases, or keywords. If you are picking keywords, we advise you to pick nouns and verbs because nouns and verbs are the main things that will give me an idea of my topic. Okay, guys, let's say if the topic is technology, let's say, and my sentence is 50% students studying in American universities use AI to help themselves solve difficult questions. Now, out of this sentence, the only thing I would pick is AI. That's it. Because if I say difficult questions, that's not related to my topic. But if I say solving difficult questions, that is somewhat related to my topic if I use the word AI with it. Okay. But if I say 50% students, no chance. If I say studying, no chance. If I say American universities, doesn't make sense. Not related to my topic. Okay. I want you to have a look at the template. I want you to have a look at the recording. See what kind of keywords I am picking. Okay. See here. Let's see.
There are 4 types of solar eclipses. The first and most spectacular is a total eclipse, when the moon completely covers the sun's surface. A total eclipse can only be seen if you're standing within the umbral shadow. That's why the imaginary line created by this shadow as it races across Earth is known as the path of totality. People within the penumbral shadow see only a partial eclipse, the second type. From this view, outside the path of totality, the moon passes in front of the sun off-center, never fully covering its surface. Third, an annular eclipse occurs when the moon passes directly in front of the sun. However, unlike a total eclipse, the moon appears too small to fully cover the sun. The moon's orbit is elliptical, so sometimes it's closer to Earth and sometimes it's farther away. Last, a hybrid eclipse is when the moon's position between the Earth and Sun is so finely balanced that the curvature of the Earth plays a role. The moon will be farther away from some parts of Earth along the eclipse's path, resulting in an annular eclipse. In other parts, the moon will be just close enough to fully cover the sun, resulting in a total eclipse.
So moon fully covers sun, that is total eclipse. I guess now let's go. Now, 2 things that I'll follow here is the nouns that I have written. If I can, I'll write them as plural. The verbs that I have written, if I can, I'll write them in the ing format. And guys, with a verb, it is much better if you put a noun so that it relates to the topic. Okay. So for example, here, the speaker was talking about solar eclipses, or I can say solar eclipse, but eclipses I'll write. Moreover, this lecture also sheds light on. Now, I can say sheds light on the moon, the sun, and umbral shadows. Now, if I'm not sure about umbral shadows, I'll not write it. And imaginary lines. Now, guys, in all of our sentences, we are only going to put one keyword. But if you have multiple keywords, we are going to put the multiple keywords only in the second sentence here. Then, the importance of. The importance of the path of totality was highlighted. See, guys, here, if I don't write the, if I just say the importance of path of totality, then that is grammatically wrong. So if you're writing anything with of, it is much better if you write the here, because it is something very specific. So the importance of the path of totality was highlighted, and the concept of, guys, also make sure to put proper commas everywhere. Okay. And the concept of, I can say partial eclipse, and the concept of partial eclipses was mentioned. It was evident that the notion of, now I can write annular eclipse, or I can write orbit, that the notion of elliptical orbits was noteworthy. Now, guys, in conclusion, I'll write one sentence from the lecture. In conclusion, a total eclipse occurs when the moon covers the sun. Simple. Now here, if I've written the moon, the sun before, there's no point of me repeating the words again. So I'll write some other things here. Okay, so here, instead of partial eclipses, what I'll do is I'll write the curvature of the earth. So instead of partial eclipses, the curvature of the earth And here sheds light on. I can say partial eclipses, comma, annular eclipses. Okay. And again, any extra words that you have, you can put them all of them here. Okay. But yeah, that is what we are going to do. Guys, on an average, please make sure you to keep it less than 70 and more than 50. Okay. So guys, these are the keywords and this is my answer. 64 words, more than okay. You can check your spellings and then you can move on. All right. So yeah, that's that. That is your SST. Again, guys, this task has its own timer.
You may not know much, if anything, about Jean-Jacques Rousseau, but you have probably heard the well-known quote, "Man is born free, and everywhere he is in chains." In his early work, Rousseau argued that mankind was happiest and at its best in a state of nature, that is, before the creation of society and civilization. He saw society as artificial and corrupt, and that good people were corrupted by it. The Social Contract is perhaps the most enduring and well-known of his books, covering pretty well every aspect of man in society.
Now he talks about social
However, in
contract.
this book, his attitude to the condition of man in a state of nature changes. In such conditions, man is brutish and competitive by nature, and there is no law or morality. Therefore, because it is easier to survive by joining forces with others, people form societies to better fight anything that might endanger their situation. Rousseau's political philosophy has had a profound influence on later thinkers, even though, or perhaps especially because, it is open to many interpretations. But political philosophy is not everybody's cup of tea. In his own time, Rousseau was a bestseller, with novels such as The New Eloise and especially Émile, though even the latter is not free of his constant desire to improve society. It illustrates his ideas about the best form of education, which involves educating a child's emotions before their reason. This too had a profound influence on educational theorists.
Now see guys, the speaker did say many of the sentences, but the main thing that we are going to focus on is which of the following statements is true in the social contract. So these are the main things that we are going to focus on. Okay. And here my correct answers were D and A. But if I'm not sure, I'll just choose one that I think is okay and move on, save my time. Now comes fill in the blanks, guys. Now see what I do and how I'm writing the words.
To be honest, the biggest problem for most undergraduate students, in terms of academic writing, is not only adapting to a far more structured and formal style, but also learning how to ascertain the difference between important, valid information and unnecessary, or even irrelevant material. In my experience, I would say it takes students their first year, if not longer, to appreciate what is required and to start to implement those requirements in their writing. What they really should be doing, if they are struggling with written assignments, is to seek help from the excellent support services which are available at the university.
Now see guys, one thing is whenever I do this task, I keep on looking at the screen. I look down on my notes very rarely. Second thing is when I do this task, I try writing down short forms, as you can see here. Okay. Third thing is when I am doing this task, what I do is, so let's say once my first blank was done, instead of reading the whole thing with the speaker, I jump to the next one. So let's say once the fourth blank was done, which was appreciate. Okay. What I'll do is after the fourth blank, I'll just quickly jump here. If they are struggling with written dash, then I'll know that my blank is coming up. Okay. So what I wrote is structured, then valid, then material, then appreciate, then assignments, and then excellent. Now again, guys, I'm always writing down, if you see this, I am always writing down how my word is ending. Okay. So excellent, then, sorry, yes, excellent, then assignments, okay, then appreciate, then material, and then valid is okay, and then structured. Now, guys, I also want you to have a look at any of the words that you're not sure of to see the grammar, the tense that it is using. Okay. So, for example, if I'm not sure if it is material or materials, I'll read it a little bit. But also learning how to ascertain the difference between important, valid information and necessary or even relevant material. I think it makes sense. So I'll move on. Okay. So that is what you do. Always make sure you're writing down how the word is ending. So here, see.
After years of fretting over coming shortages, the country is actually facing a dwindling number of young people entering engineering and technology-related fields. The decline is growing so drastic that industry has begun advertising campaigns intended to make engineering look sexy and cool, and
Now, guys,
companies are slowly starting to import
I will
foreign
only
workers,
focus
or
on
sending jobs to where the engineers are, in Vietnam and India.
the
It was
young
engineering
PRR.
prowess that lifted this nation from post-war defeat to economic superpower. But according to educators, executives and young Japanese themselves, the young here are behaving more like Americans, choosing better paying fields like finance and medicine, or more purely creative careers, like the arts, rather than following their
World of
salaryman
dash.
fathers into the unglamorous world of manufacturing. The problem did not catch Japan by surprise. The first signs of declining
Almost
interest among the young in science and engineering appeared almost 2 decades ago, after Japan reached first world living standards, and in recent years there has
starting
been a
to feel
steady
the real.
decline in the number of science and engineering students. But only now are Japanese companies starting to feel the real pinch. By one Ministry of International Affairs estimate, the digital
problem is
technology
likely to
industry
dash.
here is already short almost 500,000 engineers. Headhunters have begun poaching engineers mid-career with fat signing bonuses, a predatory practice once unheard of in Japan's less cutthroat version of capitalism. The problem is likely to worsen because Japan has one of the lowest birth rates in the world. Japan is sitting on a demographic time bomb, said Kazuhiro Asakawa, a professor of business at Keio University. An explosion is going to take place. They see it coming, but no one is doing enough about it.
Again, guys, I'm always writing down how my word is ending. So the first one was dwindling. Now, if I'm not sure dwindle or like if it is this something like this or something only like this, if you're 50-50 about something, it is better to write it down. If you have missed anything or if you're not sure at all, it is much better to skip it rather than writing anything. Okay. Then it is drastic. Then it is behaving, ing. Then it is medicine, normal. Then it is manufacturing, manufacturing. Then it is decades, decades, plural. Pinch as it is, worsen. Then demographic, demographic, simple. Okay. And then you can also revise your spellings and just click next. After the recording is done, try not taking more than 1 minute. Okay. If I try to do
To reach some kind of understanding of a period in the past, the Middle Ages, say, requires a creative act of the imagination not unlike that of a novelist getting inside the skins of their characters or establishing the environment they live in. What must it have been like to be a peasant under a feudal baron? What might his beliefs and politics have been? Did he, for example, think his situation was simply part of the natural order of things, or that it was grossly unfair and needed to be overthrown? So, you have to imagine the terms under which life was lived in those days, and learn to feel in a different way about things by putting yourself into a world very different from your own. Now, of course, every age views the past from its own present, and an 18th-century historian's concept of the Middle Ages will be very different from that of one from the 21st century, which is why each age has to write its history over again. It's not so much that more facts or evidence come to light if they do, but that sensibilities change too.
Okay. Now see, guys. Okay. Now in this task, what we usually do is we read the first part and the last part of every option because you can't read the whole thing. Okay. So here, what I was focusing on is the text explains how, in order to understand people in the historical period they are studying, a historian must have the same ability. Okay, must have the ability. The speaker did not say it. The historian needs to have the ability. Okay. Third one, as a historian, if you really want to understand the sensibilities of those who lived in the past, you must be like a novelist and get into the skins somewhat. But the thing is, the writer is saying that a historian needs imaginative sympathy with ordinary people in the past. So because of that, I would choose option A. Can be wrong, but that is my opinion. Okay, let's focus here.
Randall Yarrail, the great American critic and poet, once defined the novel as an extended piece of prose fiction with something wrong with it. Now, nothing is perfect and you don't have to look very hard to find something wrong or perhaps just something you don't like about any work of fiction you care to name. Where, we might ask, does the editor come into this? And is it beneficial to an author to have an editor who is also a novelist? You would think that being a writer themselves, familiar with the process of writing a novel and its demands, they would be able to get inside the head of the author, and be sympathetic and understanding of what needs to be done. This is not an unreasonable assumption to make. However, is it not possible that there is an opposite side to this? Editors might, from their experience as writers, possibly unconsciously, try to make over the submitted novel as they themselves would have written it. The ideal, one supposes, is for the editor to see the book through the author's eyes, but if they apply their own creative talent to the job, they might end up seeing it too much through their own eyes and, in this way, take no account of the author's original intentions.
Alrighty, guys. So here, sorry, my pen fell off. Alright, guys. So here, what we are going to do is, usually the same thing that we do in fill in the blanks reading as well. Oh, sorry, multiple choice, multiple answer in listening as well. Okay. What I was focusing on was the main question, which is which of the following is true of editors who are also novelists. Okay. Now, again, here you can only choose one option. So there is no negative marking. There is, however, negative marking in multiple choice, multiple answer. Okay. So here, what I would choose is they're always able to see the novel from the author's point of view. Okay. They are sympathetic. Okay. So they may try to reshape the novelist's work in their own way. That is what the speaker said. They find it difficult to see the author's real intentions. So editors who are also novelists. Now here we will focus more on the last sentence.
As I mentioned last week, we're going to look today at fiction writing, writing stories, and in particular at authors who have a reputation for creating characters in their books who are known as unreliable narrators. Now, what does that mean exactly? Well, originally in the 19th century, it tended to simply mean that, as a reader, you just couldn't trust what the narrator of a story was telling you. This might have been because they were not giving you important information, or because they themselves, as a character in their own story, lack some kind of personal insight. In later works of literature, this unreliability was used by authors more deliberately, with the direct intention of making a story more complicated for a reader to understand, perhaps a crime novel or a thriller. Nowadays, there's a lot more humour in unreliable narration, and it's often used to make first-person characters enjoyable to read about. So, what all that tells us as a general starting point is that this type of narration...
Okay, so this type of narration has changed over time because the speaker was basically telling you how it has changed, basically. Highlight incorrect words, one of the easiest.
I once took part in a vodka tasting contest in which participants tried to tell an expensive brand from a cheap one. I don't recall the exact outcome, for obvious reasons, but I do know that several people swore they could taste the difference. Well, maybe they could, because according to a study in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry, different vodkas can have different molecular structures, which could drive drinkers to favor one brand over another. Vodka is an alcoholic beverage that's supposed to be relatively flavorless, so researchers got to wondering, how come people who enjoy this stuff often express brand preference? Being good little scientists, they trotted out their spectroscopic equipment and examined the chemical signatures of 5 different vodkas. What they found is that each brand differs in how its ethanol molecules cluster. In the ethanol water mix we call vodka, some of the ethanol molecules get surrounded by a sort of cage made of water, and different brands differ in how much ethanol is caged. Vodkas with fewer cages might seem more watery than those with more structure. Of course, drink enough of the stuff, and it really won't matter how tightly caged it is. You'll be loose as a grey goose.
Now guys, here there is negative marking. So if I choose something which is not there, then I get -1 for that. Okay, so let's say if I do this, which is 1 wrong, I miss 1. What's going to happen is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 minus 1 plus 0, I'll get 3. Okay, so please be careful of that. One of the easiest tasks. Okay? Just click on the words and you're done. If you're not sure of any word but you think it is there, just click on it. Finish. Once the recording is done, finish choosing your answers. Once the recording is done, you can come back to that sentence, read it, and see if that word is fitting there or not. All right. Then you will get 2 or 3 questions in the exam for this. Okay, let's see.
If you've spent any time hitting up the giant wholesalers or other markets this holiday season, you've probably figured out that you can make a full meal out of those tasty little samples they often dish out. Which seems like a good thing for you and for your wallet. But a new study shows that these tempting little treats really do entice you to buy what you try, and maybe some other stuff like it. Researchers tracked the sales in half a dozen stores that provided samples of snacks in 4 categories: healthy, salty, frozen, or branded by a large coffee shop chain. They found that noshing while shopping convinces consumers to buy the featured product more often than does simply seeing the product displayed at the end of the aisle. They also found that repeating the sample offering multiple times translates into sustained interest in the product, and that stores that have a smaller assortment of products for sale benefit more than the warehouse-size emporia. The findings served up in the Journal of Retailing. The researchers also discovered that the effect extends beyond the product itself, such that, for example, nibbling on one brand of cookies makes you hungry for cookies in general, including those from competing brands. Which suggests that a rising tide really does lift all boats. Or at least that a tray of free taquitos will certainly lift a lot of shoppers' spirits, and it'll keep those registers ringing well into the new year.
That's it. Okay. Now, see, on these kinds of questions, you don't need to spend too much time. Similarly, for MCQs, any MCQ task in listening, you'll not be spending too much time. Highlight incorrect words, you'll not be spending too much time. So you should have plenty of time in the end for write from dictation, which you can spend proper time on. Okay. See what I do here. Focus.
Free campus tour runs daily during summer for prospective students.
Runs daily for summer prospective students. Runs daily for summer prospective students. Runs daily. Now, if I'm not sure, runs daily in the summer for prospective students. Okay. Now, if I'm doing it properly in the exam, what I do is, okay, twos runs daily in the summer for prospective students. Runs daily in the summer for prospective students. I would divide into different parts. Runs daily in the summer for prospective students. So runs daily in the summer for prospective students. So this is basically what I'll do. Okay. So yeah, and then once you are done, you write down the whole thing. Okay. So that is basically the main thing here. And guys, one more thing, right from dictation, you try to get like as much as possible. Okay. But the thing is, you can focus on smaller words a little bit more. You should focus on smaller words a little bit more, because every single word here is giving me 1 mark. So if I'm not sure if it is perspective, I can skip it. Okay. If it is prospective, I can skip it. If it is a big word, I can skip it. But smaller words are the ones that you need to focus on a little bit more. Okay. So here it was, free campus tour runs daily. Now here I've written in the summer. The answer was during summer for prospective students. So this might seem like a right answer to many students, but these are the kind of mistakes you make in the exam. Okay. So free campus tour runs during summer for prospective students. Okay. And again, guys, if you want, you can add 1 or 2 extra words, but try not adding more than that. Okay, that's the main thing. 1 or 2 extra words in 1 or 2 of the questions, and it should be more than okay. All right, let's hear this.
Interim grades will be posted on the board outside the student lounge.
Will be posted on the board outside the student lounge. Grades will be posted on the board outside the student lounge. Grades will be posted on the board outside the student lounge. Grades will be posted on the board, outside. outside the student lounge, the student lounge. And then I'll write down the whole thing. Now let's say I wasn't sure of the first word, which was interim. Okay, but what I'll do is grades will be posted on the board outside the student lounge. That's it. And then again, write down the whole thing. Interim grades will be posted. So guys, that is basically what you do. If you want to do initials, you can do that. If you want to write down short forms, you can do that. If you just want to listen and then write or type, you can do that. But please do not type your answers straight away, okay?
A regional assembly was moved to the devolution of power.
A regional assembly was moved to the devolution of power, okay? So a regional assembly was moved to the dissolution of power, to the dissolution. Now, if I'm not sure, dissolution of power. Now, if I'm not sure if it is dissolution or devolution or evolution, again, I can add one or two extra words based on the kind of sentence I have, okay? But here, I think it says regional assembly was moved to the devolution of power, because dissolution, I don't think this word is going to fit here, okay? So was moved to the devolution of power. And again, if I'm not sure, what I can do is devolution, dissolution. Simple. Then click next. Yes. And the test is over. So now what we do is we just click on back to my PTE, click on leave. Okay. And then it would take me to where there are mock tests and everything. See? So here I just click on calculate scores. And within, let's say, 2 or 3 minutes, I will be getting somewhat of an accurate scoring. Okay. But again, guys, please make sure whenever you're doing any kind of question, whenever you're doing any kind of practice, whenever you're doing any kind of mock test, please make sure to always get it checked from the tutor. Okay. So let's wait for the test and then we'll go from there. Okay. Let's see. Alrighty, guys. So the scores are here. Let's see what scores we got. So let's go. It's pretty okay. Cool. Now here, after you're done, you can always check how much you have got, what were your answers, how much scores did you get. I want to check one where I went very slow, you know. So I think it was this one. Yeah, see. Unlike the United Kingdom, which has taken a relatively restrictive approach, see, I'm speaking in a slower at a slower speed, in a slower tone, and I'm still getting great marks, guys. Okay. And in the exam, it would be much better than this because the AI is much more powerful than this one, or much more powerful than any other AI that any portal has. Okay. Again, the main thing with your repeat sentence is as long as you are speaking with confidence, it should be okay. Now see here, I'm getting 6 out of 9. Okay. Children, for example, are often exposed to negative role models. What I said is, children nowadays are often exposed to negative peer pressure and role models. Okay. So I completely messed it up, but I'm still getting 2 out of 3 for my content. And I'm still getting a great score for my pronunciation and fluency. Okay. Actually, not that great of a score for my pronunciation, but yeah, fluency. But again, guys, in the exam, it would be much better than this one because our AI scores you a little harshly. Okay. Nowadays, persuasion is an important topic of research in social psychology. Now, see, the way that I was speaking, it should have given me great marks. But again, no AI is 100% accurate. So please make sure to always check your answers, double check your answers, even if you're using some other institute's portal or even if you're using some other online website, you know, or app. So yeah, that's that. And always you can check your answers to see if whatever you have said is making sense or not. All right, so that's that. Now here, we see that we have got great in reading, great in writing, okay in speaking, and okay in listening. So now let's go to the listening part and see where we made mistakes. Okay, so if I see this here, I don't think there's any mistake here. I got 10 on 10. 1 correct. Here, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. And see, I got one wrong here. So that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. I've chosen 6. This is just a glitch here. So I've chosen 6 here and I got one wrong, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minus 1. I'll get 4 marks here. That's where I lost marks. Here I did not write daily. I lost 1 mark. Again, dissolution was wrong, so that's still okay. But yeah, guys, please make sure you focus on the important tasks. And then you can also check your reading scores here. And yeah, we skipped a blank here by mistake, if you remember. But yeah, guys, there are no negative markings in your fill in the blanks. So if you want to choose an option that you're not sure of, go ahead. Okay, choose just one option in your MCQs and you should be done. Okay, reorder paragraph C. Even if, let's say, if my order wasn't correct, I would still have 2 pairs, which is, I would still have 1 pair, which is 2 and 4. Okay, it is giving you 6 marks, not a lot of marks. So please make sure to not spend too much time on it. Okay, and then guys, always double check your writing and see whatever scores you get. And here we wrote a very, very, very simple essay. No big sentences, no big nothing, right? Very simple essay, very simple sentences, and we didn't even use a template. Okay, so that's that. Some mistakes here or there, but again, we did not revise our answers, but you have to make sure to revise your answers, okay? So if I say to further elaborate this, it says, further, my spelling's silly mistake. If they start paying for their own needs, if they started paying for their own needs, it will make them learn the value of money. It would. Now, this here is a suggestion, basically. Okay. Now, instead of will, you can write would, because would is a little bit more formal. Okay. So yeah, guys, that is that. And yeah, that is basically the mock test. That is how you can attempt the questions. And this is the score that you'll get in the exam, or even 90 out of 90. Okay. But yeah, guys, please make sure to visit Mockmaster. If you're planning to give the exam for IELTS, PTE, or NAATI even, we do offer guaranteed courses for IELTS, PTE, and NAATI. So I would highly recommend you to have a chat with us, see if we can help you in any way. We also offer free demo classes. So if you want, you can attend a free demo class and interact with the tutor. And then you can let us know if it would, if it sounds good to you, if it looks good to you. Okay. We are running promotions at the moment. So if you want, you can sign up, you can pay less, and you can get more. Okay. And guys, yes, if you want any other videos, if you have any other doubts, if you want any other help regarding PTE, NAATI, or IELTS, feel free to contact us on all of our socials or any of our socials. We are on Instagram, TikTok, WhatsApp, not Snapchat right now, but hopefully. But yeah, guys, so my name is Sam. That was your mock test. Hopefully you'll have a better idea on how to attempt the mock test or how to attempt the real exam. Okay. Thanks, guys. My name is Sam. I'll see you guys later. Have fun, stay safe, and all the very best for any and all of your exams. Have fun.